In this video, we're going to see how to make forecasts when we have a time series that shows seasonality as well as trend patterns. We're going to use data file smartphone sales as an example. So here I have the data file. As you can see here, we have the quarterly sales information for the past 4 years, and we want to make forecast for the 5th year. Again, quarterly sales forecast for the next year. So when we visualize this time series, when we use the line chart, we see that there are obviously like both patterns. We can see trend as well as seasonality. So let's just go ahead and first add the trend line. We see that there is a consistent gradual increase in the data from a year to the next year, right? From a year to the next year, we always see an increasing trend. So trend is there, obviously. We also see that if we just take 1 year, compare it to the next year, compare it to the next and next, we always see the same seasonal pattern. So always at each year, the minimum sales happen at the second quarter, and then the maximum happens at the last quarter. So down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, same pattern repeats itself. So we have both seasonal and trend. So when we have this, when we see something like this in our time series, the best way we can actually model this would be to use to actually have a regression model that includes both seasonality and trend effects. So I mean, we already know how we can take care of this seasonal effect. So we just need to find the seasons. So here we have, I mean, if we take seasons equal to quarters, we will have 4 seasons, which needs 3 dummy variables. And I'm gonna take the first 3, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and then we're gonna leave the last one. It's gonna be always the one with 0 for the other, for the dummy variables. So quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. So these are my dummy variables. Plus, for trend, I need to have a period number. I need to have a period column, a period as an additional independent variable. So when we have these factors, our model is going to look like this: y hat equals b0, y-intercept, plus b1 times quarter 1, the dummy variable, the first dummy variable, plus b2 times quarter 2, plus b3 times quarter 3. So now I've taken care of the seasonal effect. I also need to add another factor in my model in order to take care of in order to include the trend effect. So for trend effect, the next coefficient, B4, and then times period number, times period, right? So this is gonna be the model that we need to develop. This is gonna be our forecasting model that includes both seasonality as well as trend, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and create the dummy variables as well as the period. All right, so quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, as well as period. Just to make sure that we have enough space, I add 2 more columns. So for the dummy variables, I'm going to use an if statement, if quarter number. Here, just make sure that you have the numbers. You shouldn't have any missing numbers. You always should have, like this, when you write the if statement, it should be able to generate zeros or one. And whenever you have one here under the quarter column, you should see one. So if B3 is 1, put 1, otherwise put 0. If B3 is 2, put 1, otherwise put 0. If B3 is 1, if is 3, put 1, otherwise put 0. Just to show you the formula again. So here we have the quarters. I just need to drag this down and it's going to take care of everything. So just to make sure that I have it right. So for the 5th year, for quarter one, I have quarter one, the dummy variable for quarter one equals 1, and the other ones are 0. The second quarter 1, the third quarter 1, and then for the last one, all of the dummy variables are 0. So that actually takes care of the dummy variables. For period, it's going to be simply 1 to all the way to 20. 5 times 4, 20. So I just take these two, and then if I drag it down, it's going to generate numbers, like a sequence of numbers from 1 to 20. So there's no formula here. I didn't use any formula. All right, so I have all my independent variables ready for my regression. So now I can go ahead and develop the line here. If I go to Data tab, and I need to use data analysis, again, it's not appearing here. I'm gonna restart it. If I go to options and add-ins, go analysis toolpack, I just remove it and I do it again. Options, add-ins, go, and add it this time. I'll go back to data tab, data analysis added, okay. Regression. All right, so I just restarted my data analysis tool pack. Now I'm in regression tool. So Y range is gonna be the one that I wanna predict, is gonna be the sales. And X range is gonna be the ones that I'm gonna use for prediction. Quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and period, all the way to the end of the 4th year, because here I have to have exactly equal numbers of cells in my range, in my ranges for Y and X, right? So exactly equal number of rows. All right, so, and then the variables, the independent variables in the 5th year, they're gonna be plug into the equation for the forecast for the 5th year. So I'm gonna use them later on. All right, I have labels. And again, I'm just looking for the coefficients. I just need to get B0, B1, B2, B3, and B4 in order to be able to create the forecast, right? To just use that equation for forecasting purposes. So I just put it at the end. Let's say A24, and okay. We just, like I said, we're just interested in, for now, we're just interested in the coefficients. So I just copy, Control C, and paste them over here. And I'm gonna use these coefficients for seasonal and trend forecast. All right. So for quarter one of the year one, if the question asks only for the last year, for the 5th year, you don't even have to do that for the previous year. But if you need to find, let's say MSE or MAE, if you need the error in the past, you need to do it for the previous periods as well. So it's always safer if you do it for the first quarter and then just do it for every other quarter as well, or every other period. So it doesn't have to be quarterly sales. It can be monthly sales. It can be weekly, right? So if I just do it for the first period, it's going to be, I just need to use this equation. B0, y-intercept, F4. I just fix the intercept in my equation plus coefficient for quarter one. Press F4 or Command T just to add the dollar signs times the value of quarter one at the first period plus the value of quarter two, the value of the coefficient for quarter two times the value of quarter two plus the coefficient for quarter three, F4, times the value of quarter three plus the value, the coefficient for period F4 times the value of the period. And we just have everything ready in order for us to be able, and just for a, just to check the accuracy of your work, the number that you get, just to make sure that you haven't made any mistake in your formula, this number should be, should make sense basically, shouldn't be too far from the actual sales. And if that's the case, that's perfect. You can just go ahead and copy the formula all over the column and get the forecast for the 5th year. So these are now my numbers for the next year. All right, so I just got the equation and I just use the equation to get the forecast. Maybe one thing before we move on, there might be a slightly faster way. If you feel that this is a little too much, just to type. Sometimes you may have, let's say, if you're doing it for monthly sales, you may have 11 dummy variables and one period, so it's going to be 12 independent variables, and it may take some time to write down the equation. So in Excel, there is a function sum product that it just multiplies the corresponding cells. It takes two arrays and it multiplies two same size arrays, two arrays with the same size, and multiplies the corresponding cells in each, like multiplies the cells, the corresponding cells from each array, and then adds them together. So that's what it does. All right. So if you, and here this is exactly what we're doing, right? So if we have B1, B2, B3, B4 in one array, and quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and period in another array in the same size, either here, all of these three, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and period, they're all in one row. And here my numbers, the coefficients for, this is actually B1, B2, B3, B4, but I have them in column. If you want to use the sum product function, you have to have them. I mean, you either have to have these in columns or these in rows. If you can manage to get that, then you can use the sum product function, and that will basically multiply the coefficient for quarter one times the quarter one plus coefficient time of quarter two times quarter two, etc. If you want to do that, this you don't have to really do that, but if you would like to do that, and if you feel that it saves some seconds for you, you can just copy this, the coefficient, and in order to have it in rows, have all these coefficients in one row rather than one column, you can copy, Control C, and paste somewhere, right click, paste special, paste transpose the array, the matrix here, and you will get all the numbers, the same numbers, but now a transposed matrix. Now you have all the numbers, same numbers in one row. And now this would allow you to use the sum product function. So if I just do this, B0, F4 plus, now instead of all these guys, I can use sum product of quarter, the B1, B2, B3, B4, the coefficients, and I know that the coefficients should be fixed times the value of quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and period for the first row. So you see what this does? So the y-intercept is the same. We had it before. And then, so here, it's the same number. I just have it here this time. But then instead of writing down each multiplication separately, I can have this array and this array into the sum product function. What the sum product function does, it takes this value multiplied by this number plus the second one times the second element of this array plus the third element of this array times the third element of this array plus the fourth element of this array times the fourth element of this array. And if you just do that, it's going to give you exactly the same number. All right. Let me insert one column. And yes, so, and then you can just drag it down. It's going to give you exactly the same number. We're going to use sum product function later. It's a great function to know about and work with. And it sometimes saves you a lot of times, a lot of seconds. If you know how to do it, it's a good thing. It's a good habit actually to use sum product when we're dealing with forecasting, and we will use it later in this course as well.